Dane Ohara, Kiwi from 77 to 82, and then came back in 84 and 86. 36 tests, 75 games in total. 2 of those as captain in 1980. So welcome, Dane, to New Zealand Rugby League Museum interview.
It's a pleasure to be here, Gordon.
Well, a long time ago now, but I'm going to take you back. You remember your first start in rugby league with the Bay Roskilde Vikings, and then of course Glenora Bears. You remember
That's right.
that?
Yes, I remember that. Yeah, remember it well.
Yeah. So what can you recall of those early days playing footy for Bay Roskilde Vikings?
A friend of mine from school phoned me up and said, "Hey, do you want to come up and play rugby league for us at Bay Roskilde?" I said, "Oh, not too bothered."
So how old were you then?
I was 18, eh?
18. Oh, okay.
17, 18.
Bloody hell. Yeah.
And he said, "Oh, come up." He says, "Good bunch of guys." And so I got involved there with guys, and took my brother with me, and so it was good. They were more social, but we were sort of quite competitive, and so we sort of weeded out the riff-raff and got in some decent players, and we started playing some good footy and winning a few games, and it was good. It was a start, and got involved. And
So that was under 18s, was it? You were playing graded footy, or were you?
yeah, I was playing 7th grade, 3rd grade football.
Okay.
Got an half stone those days.
And then from of course from Bay Roskilde to Glenora, where you really made your mark. How did that come about?
Well, whilst I was playing at Bay Roskilde, I got in the autumn under 23s at toured Aussie, and came back, and they had Auckland 6 divisions, 6. West Auckland City,
yes,
Northern, and all
the
that.
zones, yes.
All the zones, that's correct.
Yeah.
And I played in that, and the guys from Ohara were obviously there watching, and Norm Stevens was the coach then, and he wanted me to come and play for him, so I said, yep, sign up for him.
Yeah. So you just mentioned Norm Stevens there. What about players that you played with then that were of any note? Do you remember any of the players that stood out for you way back then?
Oh yeah, there were lots of good players. David Royal was one of the players. He passed away not so long ago, unfortunately. But, Pat Pizer, he played for Auckland. I'm sure that he could have gone a lot further had he gone overseas or stayed with it. I think that he was quite good. There were Bindi Hokimai was really good.
Yes, yeah,
there was Jake Fafua.
Yes, the big boys.
We had a lot of talent. Dave Sorensen was there when I went there, and my first game with Glenora, they just signed Joe Karam, come from the All Blacks.
Right,
and,
of course, yes.
So all the focus was on him, and so it was a good introduction, and I was lucky or fortunate that I got into the Auckland side first year for the Creams. And the second year I was fortunate enough also to be New Zealand representative, so I don't think I look back after that.
Yep. So just about influences during that period, Dane. You mentioned your brother, that you went with, to Bay Roskilde with your brother. What about other influences in the game? Norm Stevens, of course.
Norm Stevens was a good coach, and other influences. My brother was an influence. I mean, we were always competitive. From growing up, we always competed with each other and with kids in the street and everything else. But it was just in our nature, and to be competitive. And so playing in the first division was different, and it was exciting. And playing at Carlo Park on a regular basis was, like, Carlo Park was the mecca of rugby league. It was the mecca, and everyone aspired to play on Carlo Park. And Glenora back in those days had the most teams in for one club. They had 35 teams. Now they had 3 or 4 minor teams and midgets. And But anyway, everyone I think in the club aspired to play in premiers. They always wanted to reach the top side, and it was about the pride. It was about the pride of putting the jersey on, being that top side. Once you got there, you felt you achieved something. And I think in those days everyone aspired to
probably
the jersey on.
Today. Tell me about St Paul's College, because you went to St Paul's College, and of course the breeding ground of so many great rugby league players. Did you play when you were at St Paul's College?
I played. I was sort of forced to play rugby over when I went there, and and then I stopped playing, and I was in the class with Bernie Fraser, played for the All Blacks.
Yeah, of course.
I mean, Mark Graham there and Mark Eddie, they went same St Paul's College as I did, so yeah, it was a good breeding ground.
Yeah. So you probably just touched on it there just briefly. Was rugby league frowned upon still in those days?
Yeah.
So hence having to play rugby rather than league.
Rugby, yeah, or get caned if you didn't.
Yeah. What about Auckland? And of course you made the Auckland team, and Auckland obviously a very big stronghold. You remember back then, playing for Auckland and how powerful Auckland was?
Oh yes, without a doubt. I mean, it was pretty hard in those days. I mean, you had to be fit. You had to stay on the field for 80 minutes, and it was very competitive and very hard. And like I say, to play at Carlo Park in front of the crowd down there, it was everyone's dream.
Yeah.
So getting back to Carlo Park, I think all the internationals feared playing the Auckland side more than the Kiwis, because in those days it was played on a Tuesday night. They played the Kiwis on the weekend. They played Tuesday night, and they knew they were in for a good bashing, and they knew that it was going to be a real tough game. So they always put their test side out. Yeah. And the Auckland team, in '77, we sort of defeated the Aussies, the Great Britain side, and the French side. So that was
40th reunion this year, you old bugger.
It is a 40-year reunion this year, Gordon. It's something I'm quite looking forward to. I've been on email with a few of the boys, and looking forward to our reunion in June. So
1982, huge change in your life. You, Gary Kemble, James Little, and of course Fred Arcoy joined you in '83. But you go to Hull. Yeah. How did that come about? I mean, that's just...
Well, I was playing in Auckland, and Freddie had gone to North Sydney, and Mark Graham had gone to North Sydney. They were playing over there, and we went on the tour in 1980 to England and France tour, and Norse were having a chat with me before I went away, and I said, well, I won't make any decisions at this point in time. I'll wait till I come back from the European tour. And whilst I was in England, I was overwhelmed by the passion from the supporters, especially at Hull and Ohara and a couple of other major clubs there. The supporters, the sound, the song that they sang, it was deafening in the stadium. I couldn't even hear James Little. We're calling out a move that we do. Couldn't hear me. I'd go and touch him on the shoulder and say what we're going to do. Okay. But that was the passion, and I thought, geez, if I was ever wanting to play overseas, this would be the place to play. And I was offered a deal with Hull KR, and then Hull FC came to me and said, look, we'd like your services over here, and Featherston Rovers asked after me, and anyway I came back and talked with James and Fred, because they're after James and Fred at that stage, and Gary Kemble went there on an off season and ended up staying, and he said it was there, it was great, and Dick Gemmell was the director of Hull at the time, and then came over and he signed James and myself. We both decided to go there and join Gary Kemble there, and we went there. Fred opted to go to Norse and went to North Sydney, and he joined us later on, but never looked back. Yeah,
because of the achievements at the Hull FC, I think you were the most try scorer, Challenge Cup finals. I mean, to try and tell us all the memories will be impossible, but things that stand out for you. I mean, Wembley, 90,000 plus people, just amazing.
Oh well, we played the first year that we were there. We got there and won the Yorkshire Cup, then we won the John Player Trophy.
Yes.
And then we won the Challenge Cup, and we came runner-up in the Premiership final. But it was a good haul for the first year we were there, and to play at Wembley, I mean, you've heard about it, you've seen it on TV, them playing soccer there, and you never dreamed that you'd ever be playing, and then one day you're there playing and scoring at Wembley, and scoring a try at Wembley, and drawing the game, and that was pretty special at the time. So those sort of things you could only sort of dream about, but it became reality, and it was great. So we had a strong bond with Hull FC, and we stayed there for many years. I think until the mid '80s, I got there for 81, 82 season, and I stayed on but we won. We were quite strong. We had a great force. We had a great team. We had about 11 Great Britain internationals playing on the side. We had 2 Welsh internationals. We had 3 Kiwis internationals, and we had a good side. So there's always competitiveness for your spot. You know, like if you're injured or if you drop your form, you're out and someone else is in, and then you have to wait until they drop their form or whatever. So to be there, but I used to go out there with injuries, whatever, but play because you just want to be out there. The spectacle of it all was just amazing. You know, the fans. It was. I think Hull FC held about 16,500 people. Well, for the first 3 or 4 years.
Was that the Boulevard?
At the Boulevard, yeah. It was packed every game that we had. The away supporters would get 3,000 tickets.
Yes.
They come, so they had 3,000. They started singing, of course. Hull FC fans would just erupt and drown them out.
Wow.
So that was quite spectacular. So you wanted to be there and play. So it was about putting the jersey on. You know, it was about being there. The pride. You know, you just felt this great sense of satisfaction to run onto the field, just being there, and being part of it. But yeah, we had a great success till like the mid '80s, and then players were sort of leaving. A couple of selling players, they were getting new blood in, some were retiring, and this and that. And so, you know, all clubs go in cycles.
Yes.
Right? So Wigan took over then, and Wigan was a major force. There was always clubs in the top 4 or 5, and always battle it out. But Wigan became really well, and Graham Lowe was there, and Dean Bell, and like Kevin Tarnby was over at Widnes, and you know, and Kurt Sorensen was over there. So it was good. You know, we had our own family. So Christmas time, we'd invite all the others from all over, come to Hull, and we'd hire a hall, and we'd have a Santa, and we'd have presents for all the kids. So the parents bought the presents for the kids, and so the kids, oh, this is great, you know. And so we had our own sort of Kiwi Christmas, you know. And it was really good.
Tell me, you finished off your UK stint by going to Doncaster. What was that like, going from such a a huge environment, Hull FC, to Doncaster? What was that like?
Oh well, mate, I would have stayed. I would have stayed at Hull right through, but Brian Smith came to Hull FC, and I was club captain at the first year that he was there, 88, 89, and then we sort of had a bit of a falling out, and so he put me into reserve grade.
Oh, okay.
For the last season. At that stage, I'd represented Hull FC in over 300 games.
Yes.
So the club gave me a testimonial. You know, it's if you've played 10 years first team or you've played over 300 games, you've represented the club in 300 games, which I had done. So after the 8 seasons, I represented them in 300 games.
Wow.
I mean, you play a lot of games. You've got 16 first division sides,
yes.
So you play 15 teams twice. Once at your ground, once at their ground.
Yes.
So that's 30 league games.
Yep.
Your cup competitions, you know, they are a sudden death knockout.
Yep.
So if you go through to the finals, you're playing like 3 or 4 games, you know. Yep. And so adding up those plus the premiership, you know, you got the top 8 playing off. You know, I think Hull played about 46 games the first year I was there.
Wow.
And I think I played about 40, and James played about 42 or something or other. And then sort of come back and then go straight to fly to Aussie and do a tour of Aussie and New Guinea, then back to when we start the season again. I was playing over 50 games a year.
Just a machine.
I did it for 6 years non-stop, and I thought I needed a break. And so
okay, well, let's talk about that then. In '77, when you made your debut for the Kiwis, and that was World Cup year.
That's right.
Tell me, looking around that changing room now, who can you see in that changing room? There's your first test, and you're in the changing room to play your first test for the Kiwis. Who do you see in there?
Well, I just it's just to focus down on myself and just get myself ready and not look around. I mean, I was a youngster amongst all these guys that I'd sort of seen playing, and I thought, you know.
So who was in there that you thought, wow, that's my hero right there, and I'm sitting in the same changing room?
Oh, well, bloody Lindsay Proctor was always good, you know. He was always good value up there in that. And, you know, we had a lot of, all the backs, you know, most of the guys were Aucklanders, you know. Well, half the guys were Aucklanders, so like Tony Cole was really good.
Yeah, Tony.
He was good. Freddie was always good, you know.
Yeah.
But
Maestro.
yeah, he was. You know, it was really good. I mean, they had lots of quality players that stayed in the Kiwis for a number of years. You know, 3 or 4 or 5 years. And you get a turnaround after 3 or 4 years, 5 years. You know, there's always players coming in. Some last 1 season, some last a bit longer. I was fortunate enough to be there for 10. So
Yeah.
it was quite good.
What about the Kiwi captaincy in 1980? You captained the Kiwis twice. A huge honour for you and for your family.
Yeah, that's right. It was a huge honour. I was surprised, but I was given a proud moment, and you know.
Yeah. No, good on you, mate. No, I'm feeling it. I'm feeling it. So because I mean you captained the Kiwis from the wing, and that's pretty unusual for
Well,
us.
it was. You know, we sort of had our game plans that, and like C.S. Mountford was the coach then, and he had sort of given the instructions of what we needed to be doing. So I was given half the time I was close to the scrum and telling the boys what to do, but when I was on the other side, you know, it was only like for penalties or whatever to make decisions and calls and that. But half time, you know, the captain to sort of relay where their strengths were and where their weaknesses are, and you know, sort of liaising with the coach at the time, and it was a great experience. You know?
So why the break between 82 and 84?
I was in the Kiwi side. I was in the 83 Kiwi side, and I'd come back from England with a bit of a groin strain.
Right.
And we're training with Graham Lowe was coaching then, and we used to train down at Mount Albert's ground.
Yes.
You know, trained down there. And he had me on the bags working, and he said, I knew I'd had a niggle, and I'd getting some physio treatment on it. And he says, we've got to make sure that that's okay. So I kept on these tackle bags and sprinting up and down and off the ground, burpees and everything else.
Yeah.
And then it finally strained, and it pulled, and I wasn't able to play. So they got Joe Rapati in to take my place.
Oh, right, okay, yeah.
So Joe Rapati came in. So the following year I was back on the side again. And continued. So I had to leave the training camp. I left them. We were in the hotel together, and I had to say my goodbyes. That's one of those things. You know, if you're injured, you know, somebody else takes your spot. You know, that's expected.
Yeah. Kiwi tours, and I mean obviously nowadays, you know, Kiwi tours are way more structured, if you like. And back in your day, you had a few Kiwi tours. What's the best Kiwi tour that you've been on? You know, England is always a great tour.
Oh, England's always a great tour. You're made to feel at home there with the English people. Yeah, it is a bit cold. It's a bit more unpleasant to be in there in the cold, but you rug up for that, so that's all good. Aussie, I had 3 tours of Australia and New Guinea, and 2 of England and France. Aussie is always good. The experience, just trying to learn how to improve all the time, you know, and look to see if you can take anything from the players that you're opposing or anyone else that's on the other side of the field, just to see any pointers that you can get, and just try and add that to your own arsenal. You know? So it was always good, but the camaraderie you get when you're on tour. The UK and France tours in '80, I think that was about 3 months. You know, so that was pretty awesome. So you became family.
Yes.
You know? And you did things together. You went to the pub together. You went on excursions. You trained together. You know, so you became like a family. And you know, if a matey was missed a tackle, there was no way that person was getting to the line. You're going to make that tackle for him. You know, and he owed you one.
Oh, well.
You know.
Last game of rugby league. What was your last game of rugby league?
Last game of rugby league I was playing at Doncaster. I played, like I said, over 300 games for Hull, represented them over 300 games. And the last season there I played reserve grade because I had fallen out with Brian Smith, the Aussie coach. And I was the captain of the reserve grade, so we won the league championship, and we won the Challenge Cup, reserve grade Challenge Cup. So I won the Challenge Cup as well. So that was a good ending to the season there with Hull. And played the last game at the Boulevard. I had a good game there, and we had a testimonial game, and it was against Hull KR, our big adversary. You know, we had plenty of big tussles with them, and it was a good crowd down at the game, and that was my last game at OSC, and I took my shirt off and went to the Tripney stand and threw it to the ground, to the crowd. And it was a good day, and then I went to Doncaster, took over as club captain there, and I had an injury in my knee that put me out for most of the first season there, and then I started playing the second season there. And
you knew that was the time.
Oh, they wanted me to sign another 3-year deal because we were doing well, and my girls were getting older, and they didn't want to come to New Zealand to live. They thought New Zealand was just a destination for a holiday, and so they've been to school since they were 4, you know, and they started school at 4 there, and they wanted to stay there. So I thought now's the time to go back to New Zealand. They can do their secondary education at home, and become little Kiwis again, because they had a pretty strong Pongi accent. I thought they'd become Kiwis again, and so we came back to New Zealand. You know, so with playing first team football, like I played 6 years with Ohara, played 11 in England, and with all the Auckland games I played and the Kiwi games, I played over 550 first team games.
So when you look at the game now, I mean, there has been significant changes. I mean, you know, they tell you they're a lot bigger, they're a lot stronger, the game's a lot quicker. Have you noticed any changes in the game from your perspective, Dane, over the years?
There's always been big guys in games, you know. I mean, you know, you look at Lindsay Proctor. I mean, there's plenty of the Henry brothers. You know, there's plenty of big guys in the game. You know, so to say they're bigger than that, but on general, I suppose overall, every 20 years or so, the next generation or so is getting slightly larger anyway. So that's fine, but it's all relative. You're bigger, so you're playing against bigger guys. So there's no difference. It's all in sort of relation. So, but you had to concentrate. Like, I mean, personally, training wise, I think the guys are spending a bit too much trying to bulk up.
I was going to ask you about that.
Trying to bulk up and that. Personally, I think if you need strength, you need stamina. So you want muscle strength, you want muscle stamina. You know, you want speed, you know, and you want to be supple. I mean, that was the key to my longevity in the game. So plenty of stretches, you know, all the S's is what you're looking for.
All the S's.
You know? So, you know, I was stretching before the guys were even stretching, and we had all the physios and all that, and the trainers teaching what to do. That, you know, after you pull the first hamstring, you know to stretch all the time. But then I thought, well, other things need to be stretched, so used to stretch, but going to strength and size and that sort of stuff. Instead of pushing great big weights and doing, say, a max of 8, get on there and do say 50 reps off about 60% of your body weight. You know, I mean, I didn't use weights use weights. I used my own body weight. You know, so like your press ups. You know, do 100 press ups. You know, do the crunches. You just do a couple of hundred of those and do sets of them. You know. And same with chin-ups and pull-ups, using your own body weight, you know, so you do 30, 40 chin-ups and pull-ups, you know, so that's what I did in my thing, plus sprints. But you can't beat going out and doing the road work, you know, you have to do the road work. And, you know, you don't do that in a team environment. You come there to do your moves, you come there to do your ball skills, you know, you come to do technique, you come there to revise all your tactics, you know, and put it together as a team. So your basic requirement is to do your fitness training and come there fit, arrive there fit, so you're ready to go. And yes, they may do all the speed work and the tactics and that sort of stuff. That's good. You know, you need to do speed work, accelerating off the spot. But the road work, that's your job to do on your own.
Absolutely.
You know? So you go out there. I never did more than 6 Ks, but I do it at 3/4 pace. You know, so go out and do that.
I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to sell this as a training. I think you've probably already answered this question, but I'll ask you anyway. Your injuries, and you've had a couple over your career, but you mentioned your knee. Was that the worst injury you've had in your career?
Oh yeah, that was the worst injury, I suppose. I mean, I broke my arm when I was in the UK, and that the opposing winger took the ball in from a long kick back and came diagonally across the field, and I came across to hit him really hard around the chest,
Yeah.
you know, up around this area here, and our halfback took his ankles out.
Yeah.
And his head come down, and I hit it at the top of his head. You know, this was in the first 5 minutes of the game. You know.
Yeah.
Well, I
Nice.
played with. I came out at half time. I says to I says, I can't rotate it. I says, and I got this big swell in there. He goes, I'll be all right. You'll be all right, mate. And he put some ice pack on it. So go out there. We just couldn't rotate it, you know. But anyway, yeah, I had broken that. But anyway, getting back to my knee injury, I got there when I was at Doncaster, and I sheared the bottom off my femur.
Oh.
My femur, so it was a medial condyle fracture, and they didn't pick it up at the start, and well, I didn't go for an arthroscope, you see,
Yes.
and they just thought it was a bad knee injury, and they thought it was ligaments,
Yeah.
and so
Get back out there, son.
I was out there 3/4 pace, and I just couldn't go past 3/4 pace.
Yeah.
After a month or two off, couldn't go past 3/4 pace. It was too painful. So I then had an arthroscope, and then found I had chipped a bone in my knee. So I went up to Newcastle, and the surgeon up there, his name was Dr. Michael. He had developed an operation whereby he would go to do the gridiron players and all the FIFA soccer players in Europe. He'd drill a hole about 5 mil deep, about the size of the old 50-cent coin, and he had a carbon fibre pad. It was like a gel pad.
Yep.
He'd put it into the hole, into the thing, so it was flush. But because it was jelly and it was fibrous, the blood would go through and it would form like a calcium over it, so it became like normal bone again.
Yeah.
And so you're able to, you know, after that healed, didn't take too long for it to calcify. And then I was able to sprint again and get back into the game. So after I finished playing over there, I came back and was playing touch for Auckland and North Harbour, representing New Zealand in touch football as well. But you know, so my knee was good after that.
Well, my claim to fame was that you broke my ribs. I think I've already told you this. We were playing at Harold Moody Park, and I was playing for Manukau, and I was on the wing, and I got the ball and went to throw it over inside to Ian Bell. So I put my body up like that, and you smashed me in there and broke 3 of my ribs. So
Yeah.
thanks very much for that.
Sorry, mate.
No, you're welcome. You're welcome. I'm going to ask you a tough question. When you think back on all the teams that you've been in, and by crikey you've been in a few, if you had to single out the one guy that you would follow anywhere, and we mentioned Fred Arcoy and of course Mark Graham, I mean all fantastic leaders. So from your perspective, who would be the best player that you've played with, and your best coach?
Whew.
We've got this on record, so make sure you get it right.
The best player I've played with, yeah. Geez, there's so many guys
Yeah.
of differing talents and different positions. I mean, in the UK, at Hull FC, Steve Norton, they called him Knocker Norton.
Yes.
He had a loose forward, fantastic skills, elusive, speedy. One of the best loose forwards I've seen ever. You know, not any disregards to Hugh McGann or anything.
Yeah.
So he was pretty special.
Yeah.
So was Huey.
Yeah.
And Dave Topless, he was standoff. He played for Great Britain.
Yes.
Great Britain captain. He was our standoff. He was very good. But I think with the ball in hand and sleight of hand and able to pick something out of a back line and go long past her, I think Freddie Arcoy.
Yes.
You know, there are a lot of special players, but he was pretty good.
I think we're probably.
He was my adversary. All my good years in at Glenora I played centre, you know, so he was the centre, and then he moved into standoff, you know. But in the centre days, he was my adversary. But we had a lot of good tussles.
So, is there a future in coaching for Dane Ohara? I mean, listening here to you today, you've got a heck of a lot of knowledge about the game as a whole. Looked at coaching, taking that expertise into coaching.
Yeah, well, when I came back from the UK, Pacific Cup was on, and I was approached by the Fijian committee to coach their side. So I coached them, and at that stage they weren't playing rugby league; they were playing rugby union.
Yes, yes.
And so I got a few of their players and that, and a couple of Auckland-based players that had part Fijian and who qualified. So we put together a team, and they saw that back there in Fiji, and they offered me a 3-year deal to go and promote rugby league in Fiji. I met Graham Booker on a golf course, and Marissa Spork took me there. So this is the only time we've got to meet him, and shook my hand, and they offered me a 3 deal. But as I said earlier, I came back to New Zealand so my children could do their education in New Zealand.
Yeah.
So I thank them very much for the opportunity, but I declined. But going back to if I'd take up a coaching position, you know, I always thought I wouldn't mind getting into a coaching position. I saw Mike Knowles at one stage when I came back, and I put forward to him the things that I'd like to do with rugby league and that. But he wasn't very interested at that time, so I felt a little bit cheesed off about the whole thing, and I thought, well, I'll get on with my own.
Come and see me, we'll do something else. Look, just to finish off, and we spoke about the game today and the differences, but if you had the power to change anything in the game today, how it is today, anything that you want to change?
Things that change. Not really at the moment. I mean, they've had enough rule changes and that sort of thing, and I think you know, the people, spectators, I say the people, spectators, they come here to be entertained, and we've got to make the game entertaining. So, you know, by moving the ball about and keeping the ball running, that's what it's all about. I think the rules are sufficiently adjusted at the moment to cater for that. So we'll leave that as it is.
Okay, we'll leave that as it is as well. So, so Dane, thank you so much for all the wonderful memories that you've given all of us in rugby league, because you know we will treasure them always. So thank you so much, Dane. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, Gordon. It's my pleasure too, mate.
Awesome. Thank you.